Good Thursday morning. We have a weather impact alert through this afternoon and through this evening as we have more rain on the way over saturated ground. The primary time for the most widespread rain with some of the heavier activity should be sometime this afternoon. We'll say from 2 o'clock through about 10 o'clock. So from 2 this afternoon through 10 o'clock this evening, that's when we'll see areas of the heaviest rain and possible flooding. That flood watch out for areas that are inland and off to the north. Just like yesterday, we had the same areas under flood watch, talking Northern Neck, Middle Peninsula, York County, James City County, around Williamsburg, Richmond, Petersburg, Emporia, Roanoke Rapids, even Franklin and Southampton there. Want to be mindful of heavy rain in your area potentially later today. Surrey and Sussex also in it, and it continues down into northern North Carolina once you go a little farther inland out towards I-95. Now, Hampton Roads is technically not under the flood watch, but that doesn't mean that you don't need to pay attention to heavy downpours potentially later this morning and into the afternoon. We could see some of those, and it's potentially going to be heavy enough, at least in spots, to overwhelm some of the drainage systems. You could see some water backing up. We could have some advisories issued or some flood warnings just about anywhere. So far, we've been pretty dry this morning, but you'll notice already we're seeing more development off to the north, and I'll revisit that in a moment. As far as the flood potential, it's greater for areas inland across central and southern parts of Virginia through central North Carolina, the Piedmont there down into South Carolina. This does include Raleigh and Durham, areas hit hard by Chantal with the heavy rain earlier in the week, and then down into the Charlotte area as well. So we're going to watch that. For our area, again, there is kind of this level 1 flood risk or risk of excessive rainfall. And that's for Chesapeake, Norfolk, Virginia Beach, the Eastern Shore, Northeast North Carolina. These areas, we have the potential for very heavy rain, but we haven't seen as much as areas inland have over the past couple of days, and that's significant. These areas inland have already had a lot of heavy rain and the ground's saturated. So it's possible we could get some flash flooding or some, excessive amounts of rain, maybe prompting some advisories out later today. That's certainly a possibility. But these areas from Suffolk, Isle of Wight, again, parts of the peninsula, Newport News, up through Poquoson, even western sections of Hampton, through Williamsburg, and those areas farther to the north and out to the west. These areas, Gates County, Hertford County, they all have a better chance of seeing some of that heavier rain on top of more saturated grounds out that way, and the potential is greater for some flash flooding or advisories. As you see, the flood potential does go down a little bit on Friday, although we're not out of the woods yet with more scattered wet weather. Now, I mentioned the rain has been heavier farther inland. This is a rainfall over the last couple of days, okay? So this is a 48-hour rainfall total through 9:47 or so, 9:50 this morning. You can see we really haven't gotten much around Virginia Beach. Even at the airport, it's been largely dry. A few showers around Ocean View early this morning. Down across eastern sections of Chesapeake and much of northeast North Carolina, activity has been very, very spotty at best. Many areas have been dry. But look at these areas shaded in red and some of these areas in the purplish colors up here near the legend. This is very heavy rain. I went ahead and did this, and I picked some locations, and I put up some of the rainfall totals. So here you go. You can see these areas here at different points that I selected, anywhere from, say, 3 inches through 5 inches. Some of them 5.7 inches there south of Farmville. West of Richmond, 5.1 inches, around 4 inches. North and south of Richmond, some very heavy activity. And then up here, the northern part of the bay, 7.5 inches. Now, heavy rain that falls along the bay or the ocean, it runs right off. It's not a big deal. But you do have the potential in some of these areas where, it feeds into streams or tributaries that feed into some of the rivers. We're going to be watching that, and this ground is already saturated. That's why we have the flood watches out there, and we will continue to be concerned with the potential for flooding. You'll look here right now, and we're getting some development this morning already over parts of the Middle Peninsula and up to the Northern Neck, headed over the bay. And we also have that level 1 or marginal risk of severe storms. Middle Peninsula, South Side, and North Carolina. The primary threat here is gusty winds. All right, as we switch over the radar, we'll go from this to a live radar sweep, and we'll zoom in up here. You can see around the Williamsburg area, we've got some moderate to heavier rain. It's interesting, with the live sweeps, you might have noticed the image here on the map shifted a little bit. I'll go from here, I'll switch it back over so you can see what this looks like when we're looking at the live sweep from Wakefield. When we switch and go farther north, it picks up this one up in Delaware, and that sweep comes around. It looks a little different, and that's because as the beam goes out away from the radar sites, it's getting higher in the atmosphere. So this is what this looks like, again, from up around Dover, and then you go down to the south in Wakefield. It looks a little bit different because it's hitting it at a slightly different elevation through the storms. You'll notice a couple lightning strikes also detected up there. Folks need to be mindful that there could be some dangerous lightning with some of the storms that develop later on. All right, we're back to our radar site here in Wakefield. And again, this rainfall, I was looking at some of the rainfall rates, and you can see some of these areas shaded in light green. It's only about 1/3 to 1/2 an inch per hour. Decent amount of rain, but not crazy. Where you get these yellow and oranges showing up, that's where we've seen some rainfall in excess of 1 inch to 1.5 inches per hour. So this stuff is moving along. We'll see these rainfalls, though, starting to add up when you have one area of heavy rain followed by another. And then if this were to continue to blossom, kind of move over some of these areas, that's how you start to really add up the rainfall totals and you get into the potential for some flooding. Don't think it's going to be too bad with this batch of rain coming through because it is kind of moving and kind of curling along. But as we're just getting the day started, there's going to be more of this later today. Got a surface trough here, another one just off the coast of the Outer Banks. Again, not huge triggers for severe weather, but there's so much moisture, there's so much humidity, and the temperatures are warm enough to support some storm development. So we're going to be watching that. Clouds have been on the increase all morning as we've been looking at the Thompson Creek Window Company sky views. It is keeping the temperatures a little cooler, low 80s, but we do have the potential for those storms. And if we get some sunshine peeking through, we should spike in the upper 80s. That's still a possibility. If we get more rain, that'll keep temperatures a little bit cooler, maybe knocking them back into the 70s at times. So you see some of that heavier rain working across the south side and into North Carolina. These are areas that have previously missed out on that heavier rain out west. So we'll look for it. There is some potential for flash flooding or for flood advisories to be issued, at least some urban and small stream advisories, maybe some runoff issues. Look out here, though, as this develops around 7 o'clock, it kind of elongates and stretches out and fills in, and then it just kind of continues there from, say, 7 to 9 or 10. Now you're starting to really add up. And where that rain does develop and you get some heavier downpours, you have that potential for the flash flooding. So we just need to continue to monitor. I can tell you Hunter Force is going to be with you today at noon and through the afternoon. And then Tim Pandagis will be with you through the late afternoon and into the evening. He'll keep you covered on any developments that do occur. Through Friday, isolated to scattered wet weather still. And then as we look ahead to Saturday, I think isolated showers and storms. Not as much coverage, but still a little bit of development Saturday afternoon, something that we will be watching for. All right, let's take a look at the futurecast rainfall. In general, areas will vary. I think you could see some areas 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch, while other areas could see 1 to 2 inches. Even some spots 2 to 3 inches on top of what we've already had. If you get a heavy cell followed by another heavy cell by another, this is just model output here. You could have some locally higher spikes, and that's what would lead to some of that flooding. We will, of course, be mindful of that and continue to scan all of the area and try to identify those areas and give you as much heads up as we can find. Now, temperatures today will top out mid to upper 80s. I think we're going to see lower 80s up on the eastern shore and mid 80s for the peninsula, maybe low 80s middle peninsula to the northern neck. For northeast North Carolina, mid to upper 80s, mid 80s at the Outer Banks. Stay mindful of that chance for showers and storms. Tonight, slow down around 74. Evening storms should taper off. It will be a little muggy overnight. Tomorrow, back up to 88. Variably cloudy, scattered afternoon storms a possibility. There's the rest of the 7-day forecast. Our temperatures normally this time of year top out around 90 degrees. We'll be within a degree or so of that for most of the 7-day forecast. So a little bit cooler today, then closer to average tomorrow, and staying there through the weekend and into early and middle parts of next week. Isolated showers or storms, possible each afternoon. Stay weather aware and check back with 13 News Now, and check us out on the 13 News Now Plus. Wherever you stream your TV, we'll have special coverage and we'll keep you updated. And take the 13 News Now mobile app with you so you can get updates on the go. Have a great day and stay weather aware.